Hello students, your instructor here, John Mandiola with another screencast. This one about creating 3D shapes in Illustrator instead of Photoshop. So I have a number of things here, and I think I'll just start with this green square here. I can do stuff like Effect, 3D, and let's say I go to something like Extrude and Bevel. I'll go here, I'm going to move this over to the side so I can see it. I'll click Preview to see what's going on. A number of ways I can change the numbers here by entering in numbers, or I can just simply drag it and move it kind of more intuitively this way, and I can also just grab on this outer ring to rotate it that way. Okay, notice the blue line here, this path. This shows me where the original path was. The square is right there, so I can do that. I can change the perspective on it. Well, before I do that, let me extrude it a little bit further. Let's say around that far. Now if I change the perspective on this, you can see it kind of gets that. You can see the black wireframe. It's kind of like a zoom look. Again, I can continue to rotate this as I desire. Now, it might seem a little muddy and dark. A few things to note: make sure that you don't have a stroke color. If you have a stroke color, the coloring of your 3D object will become that color and not your fill color, especially on the side. So I'm going to take just a fill color with no stroke color. So even if it still seems muddy, I can click more options here. And I can do things like, I know some of this is a little bit off the screen, but I can manipulate where this highlight is. Okay. I can also add more highlights by clicking this new button here. That'll give me some highlights on the side. I can change the intensity of them. So if I want this to be a less intense highlight, I can click new and move this down here. And the same thing, I can make this a less intense highlight if I want. I can also change the highlight size down if I want. And other things I can do are, I don't have to shade this with black. I can shade with any color that I want, so I can go to custom, and you can see red automatically. This thumbnail changes, and here it changes as well. Maybe I want this to be like a dark blue color, and you can see right away that everything's changing a little bit blue, and I can manipulate this here that way, and that's going on that way. There's a draw hidden faces button on the bottom. Sometimes it gives you an effect, sometimes it doesn't, texture. So let's say we go with that, and I can hit OK on that. That's one way to get a shape. Another way to get a 3D shape, I have this kind of half circle here, and I go to Effect, 3D, Revolve. Now if I click Preview this time, what I'll see is it makes a sphere, and that's nice. I can see that it's from the left edge. If I go from the right edge, it creates kind of like a cylinder that's sucked in the middle. Okay, and if I offset this a little bit, maybe not that much, this much, because it's the same kind of cylinder, but there's a gap in the middle. Same if I go from the left edge. So it's created a bowl shape or a vase shape, kind of like that. And I can see the wireframe as I move it around. Now, again, I can do all the normal things. I can actually see a wireframe of it if I want to, if that's the look that I'm going for. I could view no shading. Looks like this. It's kind of flat. I could do diffuse shading or plastic shading. So there's different steps you can do to create a shape like that. Now what's nice, I'm going to hit OK on this. I can still go back and fully edit this. I can see that this 3D quality is just an effect placed on the shape. So if I click, I'll click off and click here. Let's say I drag this point out like this. The 3D effect will adjust to that. I can do something like this. And so now, if I want to go back and edit this 3D shape, I do not go back and add one. Because if I get this, it'll basically, it's going to add an effect. I don't want to add an effect, I just want to change the existing effect. So I'm going to go to Window, Appearance, and go here, and there it is, 3D Revolve. And now I click Preview, and now I can see how this has affected how adjusting the path has affected the 3D result. There we go. And last but not least, I can do all these things with text. So I can go Effect, 3D, let's say Extrude and Bevel, and extrude depth right there, and a perspective right there, and such like that. And I can adjust it, how it's flying in and things like that. So there we go. That's how we can create 3D shapes in Illustrator. Enjoy!